We now move into our next session. We will have an introduction together and then break into groups for interactive discussion sessions facilitated by ENTER, the Jewish Peoplehood Alliance. ENTER is an innovative startup whose vision is to ensure the Jewish people remain a dynamic, diverse, global community that is united, secure, and inclusive. Their method is to facilitate dialogue to promote understanding and unity. The first session, Me'ever Layam, Across the Sea, will focus on global Jewry, wartime solidarity, and the 12th torch. In the second session, our goal will be to find ways to maintain our unity and to learn from our shared trauma. So please check your badge for your room assignments for the sessions. Don't go anywhere yet. And only go to the room to which you're assigned. And specifically, we did have a question about shared resources before. Those are things that we design things for people from different backgrounds and different places and different organizations to be together. So use that to your advantage to network and figure out how you can share resources. Just a note, we have someone saying Kaddish, and a quick mincha minyan will be held during the break between the two sessions near the windows by the hallway over there. So if you can join in that minyan, that would be great. I would now like to call upon Alon Friedman, founding CEO, and Dr. Scott Lasensky, senior advisor of ENTER, the Jewish Peoplehood Alliance, who will lead us in our breakout sessions today to introduce the program. Apparently, we have a bookkeeping announcement.
Just there are some seats, so those who came in late, please find a seat at the table. So we encourage people to find a place to sit while we have our next presentation. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Scott Lasensky. You're going to see me a little bit later today, but I'll take the opportunity to give a double introduction to Alon Friedman. Like a few of the Israelis who are here today, he's come from Israel. He lives in Hod Sharon, a father, a community volunteer. He plays a security role once a month. He'll be embarrassed that I said it. 3 children. Some of you know him because his Jewish Peoplehood story has many stops. One of those stops was right here in Manhattan, Young Judea. Shaliach, Hadassah, Beseder? Alon, please. Bakasha.
Thank you, Shalom. Achar Tzoraim Tovim. It is true, my name is Alon. I do come from Hod Sharon. And like many of you, this thing was planned so long ago, and it seems like in a different world. And it was yet another work trip to America to plan to come and to enhance and to promote the work of ENTER. And the minute AZM and other Jewish communities and other Jewish events that we come from California last week, decided bravely and smartly to move on and to keep on with programming and not to cancel everything, then it was obvious that I'm not canceling and I'm going to be here. It was also obvious that I can't leave my family. So they're all here. And I think it's becoming a thing now. I hope it's not going to take too long. But Israelis, when a parent is on a work trip, and it doesn't matter if you work in high tech or in education, it seems like we're going to be moving in clans for the next couple of months. I don't know. It seems like separating is not really an option. So I'm lucky to have a sister in Connecticut. We camped there. I did stuff from there, traveled to California, back here. Happy to be here at the AZM conference, and I salute you, and I'm grateful for your leadership and for your moving on with programs. Of course, with all the necessary pivots. I'll also say that, like on a personal note, it's always good to be among fellow Jews and converse and speak. You always feel like you're a part of the mishpacha, but us Jews we're diverse. When you have the Z word inside the conference title, then it's then some more of the guards are taken off, and I'm happy to be in the American Zionist movement convention because I know that we share a more common ground, right? And I know that it's going to be again a lot of diversity within, right, under the Z umbrella as well. but it's a good feeling to know that everybody here belongs to that notion, and I feel like I can be a little bit off guard in terms of what we're sharing and what we're trying to do. So let's move a little bit to the tachlis. Before October 7th, and there's nothing we can do. The world now is going to be split to before and after. But before October 7th, when we were working on promoting peoplehood notions, as Enter and we were introduced as a social startup, we do like to see ourselves as such. We thought, what is it that's really necessary that we can address and attend to relatively quickly? And one of the things one of the voids that we felt is that Israelis can grow up and live their entire lives without any notion about diaspora Jewry. You can live your life without knowing about Jews in the diaspora or what they mean. A lot of other gaps within Israeli societies you will be aware of, right? Jews and Arabs, religious and Orthodox, rich and poor, center and periphery, Ashkenazi, Sephardi. Israel diaspora was never a part of it, and we wanted to make sure, we called it hanchacha, presence. We wanted to have more presence of world Jewry in the faces of Israelis as they live their daily lives. And we were looking for some good examples that we can learn, study, and then try to create more of. One of those examples was the 12th torch, which was in the title, and maybe many of you didn't understand what it was. The Yom HaAtzmaut ceremony, where we're lighting 12 torches lit by people who are not famous, usually representatives of different sectors of Israeli society, celebrating the independence of Israel and many decades of successes. And a few years ago, actually, our own Charles Bronfman was our own. I mean, he's the visionary behind the creation of Enter. I should say that. He was the first one to have had the privilege of lighting the torch on behalf of diaspora Jewry. There were some other acts to follow after. Lori Palatnik was actually the last ones from Momentum. You probably know what's referred to as a birthright for moms. The idea is that as a place where most Israelis are present, right, the lighting of the torch, the ceremony, is still some sort of a tribal fire for Israelis. We hardly consume any same type of media, right? Our kids are on our TikTok, we're on some traditional outlets, but we don't consume the same thing. The torch lighting ceremony is still some sort of a tribal fire. Everybody watches, and when an Israeli sits and watches a diaspora Jew lighting the torch, it gives you, even if it's in the subconscious, it gives you some sort of a feeling, oh, yeah, those guys across the ocean, they also have a major part in the successes and the independence and all the stuff that we celebrate here in Israel. So a 12th torch is an example for Hanchacha. There were some other good examples afterwards. We saw Guri Alfi, the new Jew. I don't know if you watched this movie, but again, when a primetime Israeli television gives a spot to a program about an Israeli comedian, very well known, going to explore Jews around the world, even though it's entertainment, even though it's a little bit on the lighter side, even though there's some crazy Jewish stuff that he found when he came to explore Judaism in America, because you guys are crazy. This is, again, something that Israelis will be aware of and will understand. Oh, my God, yes, there is another half of my family that doesn't live at home. I should be more aware of it. I think this was that's basically what we're trying to do. And it worked. I must say it worked. We recently created another another television show online that's called Dare to Ask, which was another attempt getting questions from young American Jews to ask Israelis. And those Israelis were interviewed answering questions that they got from abroad. And those Israelis, of course, were casted very, very carefully and portraying a lot of different faces of Israeli society and basically relating to actual questions coming from American Jews. That was something we were just about to launch before October 7th. I'm sure it's evergreen, and I'm sure you're going to be able to get it. Again, talking about sharing resources, this is going to be an open source for all Jewish organizations, basically showing what Israelis feel when being asked about stuff that interests young American Jews. And it worked. It worked. I mean, we made some strides in the right direction, and that was, in happy times, in regular times, that would have been the job that we would look to keep on promoting. And then October 7 came. And immediately we got responses from Jews abroad. You guys, of course, are an inseparable part of it. You can see, it's not a good angle for me to read, but it's a pretty big screen. Some of the stuff that we saw is a result of our of programs that we did, encounters between Jews in America and teams in America and in Israel to connect. We got some appeals from families. My daughter connected with an Israeli online through your program. We want to send a dinner to that family. How can we send a dinner to the family of that daughter? Which shows you that, you know, when we're connecting teens, even when we do it online, it's not just a teen experience. It gets to the dinner table of the family and the parents. The parents want to be involved. A lot of questions about how can we help? How can we be on board with you on that? But the truth is that not every Israeli... we have this, the video that we want to show?
I woke up on Shabbat morning to the non-stop sounds of bombs falling around me. My entire
to show
house was
Israelis
shaking.
how much support is being given.
I will never be able to forget, as much as I might wish to, the vision of terrorists going into the kibbutzim and moshavim near the border that was shown repeatedly on my TV screen. I told myself that it is a nightmare, that I'm still sleeping. I'm still hoping that it is a nightmare. No one should be familiar with this feeling.
That we were able to see, and it's very important for Israeli kids when most of what they see is how the world goes against us, because we, you know, those 15 minutes of grace of Israel is on the right side of history. We're over very quickly, and we all see most of the footage that comes out now. In the background, this week when I was in America, I saw that CNN was open in the background, and it's, you know, it's all about that. And at a certain point I heard, and now there's going to be a story about hate crimes on campuses. And I said, oh, thank you very much. Finally, they're going to show what Jews on campuses are. No, it was an anti-Muslim story about anti-Muslim hate crimes in campuses. So very important to show Israelis this kind of support, as much as it's important for American teens to see the ability to stand together. Now let's be honest a little bit about it. Not all Israelis get it. Or your average Israeli, I would even be more bold to say, does not always get it. When there are acts of support for Israel from Jews abroad, many times this is taken for granted. Right? This is the old narrative of Zionism, right? The Jews who live in Israel protect the country. The Jews who don't live in Israel support it from above. And usually it's through writing checks. And it doesn't make the news. All right? And the average Israeli will not always know the big difference, or will not stop to comprehend the big difference between $50 million campaign to $500 million campaign in 3 weeks that was raised from American Jewry and sent to very needed goals in Israel. They don't always get it. What they do get, and what they do see as headlines in news, is the negative things. Right? When you see 2 ads in the New York Times, same size, one of them sponsored, for example, by Ronald Lauder. He does that. Showing support and telling how the Jews in America stand. The next page, same size, is an ad from Jewish Voices for Peace, saying, not in my name, and pictures of them with their talitot. And for the Israelis, it's the same size of a page. They won't really understand that 90% of the Jewish people is represented on the right-hand side of the paper, and only maybe 10% are really agreeing with what Jewish Voices for Peace are saying. It's 2 ads, same size, and the one on the left saying, not in our name, that's atrocities, that's Jews against Israel, that makes the news. So this is what takes the attention, and we need to be aware of it when we're working together to try and show the support. We need to make sure that we convey the scope and the consensus about this support. Look, about 2 hours before what am I missing there? Oh, we're good. Okay. About 2 hours before October 7th hit, you guys were saying in Israel, you guys were living in the past, right? Because it was 7 hours backwards here, 10 hours backwards in LA. And you were sitting at your Shabbat dinners. And you probably remember before October 7th, you have what we call beten mele'ah. You have a full stomach about Israel. Rightfully so. And you're, in your Shabbat dinners, you talk about stuff that disturbs you in Israel, right? It could be many things. And I know there's a diverse of opinion in this room, but it could be, corruption and Bibi and the too strong pull towards the right and the Messianic Jews that took over the government or the compromising democracy and violence and how we treat Palestinians and whatnot. Some of it to the extent of people thinking maybe in deep inside, oh God, it's fine, it's great, I love being Jewish here in America, but don't ask me about Israel. I mean, it's such a liability. I mean, I can't even deal with it. 20 minutes or 2 hours after, when your phone started vibrating and you understand what happened, all this was gone in a snap. Israel was in your kishkes within a second. You got it exactly, and you felt it. Many of you, I spoke with so many of you, and I know so many of you in the room today. Many of you still walk, a month after with this lump in your guts that you wake up with it and you go to sleep with it, and it's just there because it's in your kishkes, and nothing can separate between what's happening in Israel and your concern to Israel, to you and your Jewish identity, your personal identity here. This is some sort of the DNA that flows in our bodies since the pogroms of all times. When something bad happens, and it was a very bad thing that happened to us, this is what we all feel no matter where we are. It's part of our Jewish DNA. But this is also a period of grace. I mean, when we win this and start rebuilding, we must expect the tensions to flow back up. And we need to be ready for this as well. And this is, I think, the most important message that we want to convey when we're moving into the breakout session soon and discussing peoplehood in times of war. Israel has been your endeavor, not just up to actually creating it 75 years ago. It was created by Jews in the diaspora because there were no Israeli Jews, right? It should be yours. You are the shareholders, stakeholders, owners of that concept when you're here and when we go to rebuild. You cannot be absent from the efforts to rebuild Israel. And this is the opportunity, and if you will, even for an actual call to action. This is the Zionist movement of America. Movement, Rabbi Creditor said, it's bigger than my brand, but it comes from moving things. A movement is something that moves things in light of what's happening around. Many of you have constituents, have teenagers in your youth movements that you work with, have a lot of connections in places where it can move people. Right now, our teens in Israel and in America are confused, are angry, are sad, are vulnerable in different ways. And we feel that interactions, just like the experts said, interactions with your peer level is first aid. Interaction is Ezra Rishona, is first aid in this instant. And we want to be able to let as many teens as possible interact with each other. Yes, they'll get aid and they'll get their social workers and teachers will help and parents will help. But when you create your own kind of relationship, begova ha'inaim, eye to eye, with somebody on the other side, this is something different. It's something you own and that you can get a lot of comfort and strength from. Think of the Israeli high school kid who's being exposed to so much hate from outside and doesn't understand how does the world not see what we've just gone through and that we are on the right side. Are we wrong? Is it maybe us that's blind? And all of a sudden, when they converse for a couple of weeks with a fellow teenager, Jewish person in America who reaffirms the feeling that saying, no, you are on the right side. Yes, we feel for you. We are part of that family, and we think about you. Think of what that does to that Israeli teen. And think of the American teen who's living here, for whom CNN and the rest of the wrong, evil twisting of reality is the soundtrack of their life. This is the soundtrack of the life of teens today in America, of Jewish teens in America. And what will it mean to that Jewish teen in America to speak a couple of times over a period of a month or two with an Israeli peer, reaffirming them and telling them, listen, you are right, and thank you, and we appreciate your support. And what happens here is A, B, C, and D, and that US teen can go back to his friends in high school or in college or anywhere else and say, hey, I have a friend, Oded, who's my pen pal, and I converse with him on Zoom once a week over a period of 2 months, and he told me that this and this and that. He went into the safe room as we were Zooming together and kept on talking to me through there. I heard the side, it's immense for those kids. It basically gives them another opportunity to have 2 feet on the ground, on the real ground, not on the virtual twisted ground that they live among over here. And I want to take this opportunity and call upon you. We're going to be initiating some efforts to get teens to connect. I'm talking about one-on-one, actual relationships. We're going to build a technology. We have it as part of our one-to-one program already. We want to make it big. I think in general that when, in crisis times, we should capitalize on our expertise. Sometimes there's a feeling, okay, whatever I do is good for regular times, but now I'll ditch my agendas, I'll ditch my vision, I'll put everything aside. Now soldiers need food or equipment, or the evacuees need a place to be. Let's not forget that we're working and we're experts in stuff that we've been developing. Let's harness this expertise to the benefit of what we can do, because this will provide unique help to the situation where others cannot be helpful. We have our expertise, we have our constituencies. Let's try to do it this way. That's it. I want to thank you again for being here and for listening. I'll be heading back to Israel on Friday, and we'll definitely follow up from there. And my colleague Amanda with some remarks. Or Herbert first, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alon. Just 30 seconds. I just wanted to thank Eric Goldstein, in the back of the room, the CEO of New York UJA Federation, for all his support and for us being here and the partnership with Federation and on many events in the community here. And also to welcome Israel Nitzan, who many of you knew was the longtime Deputy and Acting Consul General, who's in New York now and joined us today. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Beckerman, and I am here representing Enter the Jewish Peoplehood Alliance. And today we are acting as facilitators, and we have gathered a team of facilitators who are experts in all of their fields, educators, and their various subject matters, and dialogue facilitators to help us lead the breakout sessions today. The first breakout session is called Me'ever Layam, Across the Sea, Global Jewry, Wartime Solidarity, and the 12th Torch. And the second breakout session is called Maintaining Our Unity, Learning from Our Shared Trauma. You are all assigned to a breakout session. It is on your name tags, and you will stay in your pre-assigned group. Only a note for our facilitators. The facilitators will be moving to the next number breakout session, but for all of the participants, please just stay in your assigned room. It is on your name tag. Please note that for group number 6, for the second breakout session, this session will be focused on grief and grieving. If that is something that is not in your comfort zone, please choose another group. And if it is something that calls to you, please go to group number 6. That is only for the second breakout. Without further ado, I think we will move into our rooms. And please note that group number 1 is going to be on this side of the room, group number 2 on this side of the room. Yes, yes. Okay, group number 1 on this side of the room. 2 is here. 3 and 4 are going to be in the next rooms this way. Group number 5 is going to be just through this door in the back hallway, just through this door in the back hallway. Group number 6 is going to be over there, right out the door to the left. And groups 7, 8, and 9, please make your way down 1 floor to the 6th floor. You will see your breakout numbered rooms on the 6th floor. Thank you.